Marco Rubio as Trump's top diplomat. Will this reshape US-Latin America relations or spark greater conflict in the region? Today we're diving into the political shockwaves triggered by Donald Trump's decision to nominate Marco Rubio as America's Secretary of State. This move could redefine decades of US policy in Latin America, a region often overlooked but now back in the spotlight. Before we jump into the details, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on the key stories shaping our world. Marco Rubio named Secretary of State, a focus on Latin America. President-elect Donald Trump has selected Senator Marco Rubio, a Republican from Florida and the son of Cuban exiles, as Secretary of State. If confirmed, Rubio will make history as the first Latino to hold the position, bringing his firm stance against communism and deep ties to Latin America to the forefront. With extensive experience on the Senate Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committees, Rubio's nomination reflects his influence on U.S. foreign policy, especially in Latin America. Renewed focus on Latin America. Rubio's appointment signals a potential departure from decades of relative U.S. neglect of Latin America. Over the years, countries like Russia, China, and Iran have expanded their presence in the region, often undermining American influence. As Secretary of State, Rubio is expected to prioritize migration, drug trafficking, and trade with Mexico while scrutinizing alliances between Latin American governments and U.S. adversaries. His focus on the region has already raised expectations for a stronger U.S. role in addressing regional challenges. A divisive figure, while Rubio's emphasis on Latin America is welcomed by some, his polarizing rhetoric and support for Trump's hardline immigration policies may alienate key allies. Christopher Sabatini of Chatham House noted the contrast between Rubio's unilateral approach and the Biden administration's preference for multilateral diplomacy. Governments will need to align more closely with U.S. policies to maintain strong ties, Sabatini explained. Rubio has been particularly critical of leaders like Mexico's former president Andrés Manuel López Obrador, accusing him of enabling drug cartels and supporting authoritarian regimes in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Although he has not yet commented on Mexico's new president Claudia Sheinbaum, his tough stance suggests a significant shift in U.S.-Mexico relations, allies, and adversaries. Rubio's approach aligns closely with leaders who share his vision, such as Argentina's far-right President Javier Milei and El Salvador's Nayib Bukele. Both have embraced hardline policies on security and governance, making them natural allies in Rubio's regional strategy. In contrast, Rubio has been an outspoken critic of authoritarian regimes. His most significant contributions have been in shaping U.S. policy toward Venezuela. During Trump's first term, Rubio played a key role in elevating Venezuela's crisis to a central U.S. foreign policy issue, supporting opposition leader Juan Guaidó and imposing sanctions on Nicolás Maduro's regime. However, this aggressive stance inadvertently strengthened Maduro's ties with Russia, China, and Iran while worsening the country's humanitarian crisis. A new chapter for U.S.-Latin American relations. Rubio's candid style and deep understanding of the region make him a formidable negotiator. Carlos Trujillo, a longtime ally, emphasized Rubio's ability to build relationships with Latin American leaders. There's an opportunity to negotiate, but bad faith actors should expect consequences, Trujillo warned. With Rubio at the helm, Latin America can anticipate renewed U.S. attention, driven by a more aggressive and ideologically focused approach. This shift is likely to redefine the U.S.'s role in the region for years to come. Trump nominates Rubio for Secretary of State. Historic appointment. President-elect Donald Trump has selected Senator Marco Rubio to serve as Secretary of State. If confirmed, Rubio will become the first Hispanic and Floridian to hold the position, marking a historic milestone. Extensive foreign policy experience. Rubio, 53, a Cuban American, serves as Vice Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee and is a Foreign Relations Committee member. He has been a vocal advocate for a hardline approach against adversaries like China, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela. Alignment with Trump's agenda, Rubio has pledged to advance Trump's America First foreign policy, emphasizing peace through strength and prioritizing U.S. interests. Trump called Rubio a fearless warrior and a strong advocate for freedom. Key Senate confirmation. The nomination is expected to face little resistance in the Senate, where Rubio's long-standing relationships and the Republican majority work in his favor. Political evolution. Once a rival in the 2016 Republican primary, Rubio has transformed into a close ally of Trump, collaborating extensively during Trump's first term on Latin America policy. future implications. If confirmed, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will appoint Rubio's Senate successor. Rubio's appointment adds to Trump's rapidly forming administration, signaling a robust foreign policy focus for the new term. The confirmation process will likely begin shortly, as Trump seeks to have his team in place by his inauguration on January 20th. Rubio as Secretary of State, a balancing act. Rubio's selection and foreign policy expertise. President-elect Donald Trump's nomination of Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State elevates a seasoned foreign policy expert to the role of America's top diplomat. Rubio, 53, a Cuban-American from Miami, has spent years on the Senate Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committees, shaping U.S. policy, particularly in Latin America. Challenges with Trump's America First agenda. Rubio's appointment raises questions about whether his traditional GOP foreign policy views will temper Trump's isolationist tendencies, or if he will simply follow the president's lead. Rubio's prior advocacy for NATO and opposition to concessions to autocratic regimes, like Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, suggests he might try to maintain U.S. alliances and international commitments. Potential tensions in Trump's cabinet. Rubio's bipartisan initiatives, such as efforts to protect NATO, contrast with the MAGA movement's skepticism of overseas interventions. He will need to navigate the influence of Trump-aligned officials while addressing global crises, including the Israel-Hamas conflict, the war in Ukraine, and tensions with China and Iran. Focus on Latin America and local expectations. South Florida's Cuban exile community will expect Rubio to pressure regimes in Cuba and Venezuela. As Secretary of State, he faces significant global and domestic expectations to deliver results in a volatile geopolitical landscape. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights on global politics and key events.